Tonight, we are also hearing from Mark Rodriguez's father. His son was hit by a bullet as he drove home from a high school graduation. And while he may have only been 17 years old, countless stories show the teen's faith, talent, and insight were well beyond his years. 10 on your side's Andy Fox is here now with how his family is coping tonight. Andy?
Nicole, Mark's parents named him after Mark the Evangelist, who likely wrote the Gospel Mark. History tells us Mark was probably written as a missionary book to people who knew next to nothing about the new Christian faith. Interestingly, Mark Rodriguez spent most of the last 4 years of his life teaching Christian faith. One of Mark Rodriguez's friends posted this video tribute to Mark. It is moving, it's loving, and it has touched Mark's family and friends.
I still talk to my son. You know, my son's body may be dead, but his spirit is alive. He's resurrected. You know, and I felt him saying to me, he was the only one that called me Pops. He just said, Pops, keep going.
So Carlos Rodriguez keeps going, talking about his son, of loss, of never-ending faith, that God is sovereign, in charge of everything that happens, good and evil. He reads from Mark's journal.
I felt cold, so I started a fire, filling it with my own desire. Couldn't keep it going, I needed more, but even the richest king is too poor. But then I was warm because you were shining down on me.
This picture from the Norfolk Christian Yearbook of class officers says a lot about Mark. All the other pictures, everyone's in a line. Mark's picture's different. He stands out, but always humble.
You know, Mark never sought to be first. He really was, and if you ask all of his friends, he was a servant. But all of your friends and the teachers would say he was a leader. And so we built this treehouse to kind of be a refuge, to come and just sort of be in nature. And
Carlos took us to this treehouse built by the family in their backyard. Listen, it's a quiet place to think, to reflect. It's where Mark came nearly every day.
He would come out here and he would just sit, you know. Often he'd sit right here and he'd have his Bible and his journal, and he'd just kind of look out, and it was a way of him connecting with God.
Now, tomorrow at 1 p.m., family and friends of Mark Rodriguez will gather at Tabernacle Church on Granby Street. The celebration of his life will include this message, that 17-year-old Mark Rodriguez lived and died an ambassador for Christ. In the newsroom, Andy Fox, 10 on your side.
To hear all of the interview with Mark Rodriguez's father, as well as our interview with Officer Brian Jones' widow, just log on to wavy.com. You'll also find information about the memorial fund set up for each family, and you can share personal messages of condolences.